a lot of crazy in 36 years. This was absolutely the craziest.
Two deputies and a suspect all lucky to be alive after a wild shootout today. It started with a shoplifting complaint, then turned into a slow-speed chase, then a standoff, then a shooting, and ultimately a house fire. And you can see right here a shield that stopped the bullet that could have hit a deputy in the head. Thanks for joining us today. I'm John Brown.
And I'm Marlisa Goldsmith. I want to break down how this all went down. Deputies had to knock down a balcony just to get the suspect out of the burning house and into custody. This is a picture of Dempsey Hadley covered in soot following the fiery standoff with law enforcement. Volusia County Sheriff's Office says this all started over a stolen pack of cigarettes. John?
We do have team coverage for you today. I got it right here, Marley. We have team coverage for you tonight. Fox 35's Marie Ettinger is digging into the history of the suspect who worked for the city for decades. But we begin with Fox 35's Chris Lindsay live in Deltona right now. So, Chris, this is a wild chain of events.
Very wild. When deputies first showed up to the scene, they thought they were responding to a simple shoplifting call. That turned into a standoff that put multiple lives at risk. The suspect burned down a home, but as the sheriff says, this situation could have been much worse.
I'm at a loss for words that we could be burying one of my men today. And through the grace of God, we're not.
It's a first for Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood. A wild morning, a chase, a shooting, and a fire, ending with a suspect covered in soot going into an ambulance. And this all started with a stolen pack of cigarettes.
I can't make sense of it.
Nothing like this has ever happened here in all the years that I've been here.
Deputies say they got a call about a man named Dempsey Hadley who reached over the counter at a nearby Wawa to grab the cigarettes. He took off, and deputies tried to stop him, but he didn't stop until he got to his home on White Horse Court, where he stayed inside his truck until...
I did hear initially, pow, 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 pow.
It was a gun battle in that driveway.
Chitwood says Hadley fired at deputies.
This round right here was up in front of my sergeant's face. My sergeant would have took a shot to the head.
It was then when they say Hadley began lighting fires in the garage.
The entire house becomes engulfed in flames.
The sheriff says there was a lot of ammunition in the home. Some of it went off during the fire.
We heard boom, boom, boom.
Neighbors were asked to stay in their homes.
It scared me, and I didn't know what was going on.
The fire wasn't enough to get Hadley out. Chitwood says his deputies had to knock down the second-story balcony with Hadley on it to get him into custody.
I've seen a lot of crazy 36 years. This was absolutely the craziest.
One deputy was grazed by a bullet. There was another who was injured by glass fragments. They are both expected to recover. Reporting live in Deltona, Chris Lindsay, Fox 35 News.
Dempsey Hadley was an employee with the city of DeLand for more than 30 years before he retired 3 years ago. We continue our live team coverage tonight with Fox 35's Marie Ettinger. And Marie, we learned he actually did maintenance work for the city.
This area was blocked off until just a few moments ago, and I'll mention the area around the house is still walled off by caution tape. So we went around today speaking with neighbors on further side streets, and all of them today just mentioned how astonished they were. Investigators were still here up until about a half hour ago, which means they spent over 12 hours out here. A lot of that spent gathering evidence, trying to figure out what happened when at first they were only after Dempsey Hadley for allegedly stealing cigarettes. We do know Hadley worked in maintenance for the city of DeLand. The public information officer for the city told me Hadley started working there in 1988 and that he retired as the facility superintendent in April of 2020. His only criminal charges in Volusia County were for petty theft decades ago and for fleeing from police in July of this year. We know Hadley has a son in his early 20s who stays at the house. SWAT actually had to evacuate him earlier this morning when all of that was going down. Other families were on scene this morning too, talking with the sheriff. I spent the day reaching out to different family members, trying to learn what they would have to say to the public and how they're feeling. I'm still waiting to hear back about that. John?
Well, Marie, I'll take it from here. I know you've been going through the paperwork on that July arrest. What exactly was that for now?
So that was for fleeing from police. What happened in that situation, according to the arrest affidavit, was that Hadley was clocked going 67 in a 40-mile-an-hour zone. So a police officer tried to pull him over, but when he turned on his lights and sirens, Hadley took off going, according to that report, 90 miles an hour. They were only able to stop him with the help of stop strips. And I'll mention to you guys that is a pretty similar situation for how things started earlier today. Live in Volusia County, Marie Edinger, Fox 35 News.
Marie, thanks so much for staying on top of this for us tonight. Hadley's family told deputies he's been, quote, acting extremely erratically for the past 6 months. The sheriff says he told the deputies to contact the president to pardon him for everything he did. Hadley was taken to the hospital.